A 21-year-old man is dead after an early morning stabbing in Hamilton. Police believe the victim was involved in an altercation about 15 minutes prior to the stabbing at a parking lot about a kilometer away. The hunt now underway for those responsible. Good evening. What happened between the altercation in the parking lot and when the man was stabbed isn't clear. The victim was found on the sidewalk by a taxi driver passing by. He died from his injuries in hospital. CP24's CTV's Mike Walker joins us now live from the scene near Main and Fritz Streets with the latest on the homicide investigation. Mike.
Well, Andrea, investigators cleared the scene earlier this afternoon. As you mentioned, the hunt is still on for the suspects as they are working to determine the circumstances that led to the altercation and then this deadly stabbing. A 21-year-old man was found lying on the sidewalk suffering from stab wounds by a taxi driver who Hamilton police say pulled over to render first aid and call 911. The victim was rushed to hospital where he died from his injuries.
No, it's scary. It's so tough to see that this is happening.
It's just a waste, you know. You think irrationally and then you do something, you're going to regret it, and you took someone's life. You ruined a lot of people's lives, even the person that did the crime, and it's a shame.
Hamilton police were called to Main Street West near Highway 403 shortly before 2:30 Sunday morning. They believe the stabbing occurred where the victim was found. Investigators believe the victim was involved in an altercation about 15 minutes before the stabbing, about 1 kilometer away at this grocery store parking lot near King Street West and Paradise Road North.
We're not really sure what took place between the altercation and the victim being located. That's something that we're still trying to sort through.
At this point, the motive isn't clear. Police haven't released any suspect information. They add no weapon was found at the scene.
At this point in the investigation, it's still very early. We're still collecting video and we're still speaking to witnesses.
Police have not identified the victim and said they were still working to contact their family. This fatal stabbing has left some people who live nearby on edge.
It's no good. It's no good. I want to feel like I can walk around this area and live my day-to-day life, and I just don't feel that way when I hear something like that.
Seems to be happening more frequently, more senselessly, more randomly. I see it as kind of a young, lost generation of Canadians.
Those people know that they were involved, and we encourage them to do the right thing and to turn themselves in.
This is Hamilton's 9th homicide of the year. Investigators say because this happened in the early morning hours, there weren't many witnesses and are appealing to anyone who was traveling in this area of Hamilton between 2 and 2:45 this morning who may have dash cam footage to come forward. Reporting live in Hamilton, I'm Mike Walker. Andrea, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. 2 people are in hospital after a serious crash in Brampton this afternoon. 3 vehicles collided at Chinguacousy Road and Dusk Drive shortly before 4 p.m. One flipped over and wound up on its roof. Peel paramedics tell us a female was transported to a trauma center with life-threatening injuries. A second person suffered only minor injuries, and there's no word yet on what led to the crash or if any charges will be laid. Well, Peel police are investigating an early morning tow truck fire outside a Brampton home. A red gas can was found at the scene on Rocky Mountain Crescent near Torbram and Beauvert. Emergency crews were called here around 1 this morning. No injuries were reported. The cause is still under investigation, including if the blaze was deliberately set. And back in the city, an investigation is underway after a fire destroyed a barn at a city-owned heritage property in Scarborough. Firefighters responded to the Cornell Campbell House property on Kingston Road, east of Markham Road, just before 11 last night. The first crews to respond reported heavy smoke. The fire was contained to the storage building and there were no injuries. Well, police are investigating after a pickup truck appears to have been stolen, ended up in Lake Ontario overnight. Emergency crews were called to the boat launch at Marie Curtis Park in Etobicoke around 2:30 this morning. The pickup truck was fully submerged in the water with its lights on. No one was in the truck or in the area when first responders arrived on scene. Police haven't said where they think the truck may have been stolen from. And there were no injuries after a car hit a gas line near the Kipling Station parking lot. Fire crews responded to the crash just off Kipling around 4 this morning. Police say no charges have been laid, but the gas line was seriously damaged. Well, 2 people have been arrested after an alleged armed robbery that led to a police chase and attempted carjacking in downtown Toronto early Saturday morning. Police say 2 suspects approached 2 people in the area of Bathurst and Richmond just before 3:30 and robbed them at gunpoint. The suspects fled in a stolen vehicle, which was involved in a collision with a police cruiser and a streetcar when police attempted to stop it. The suspects then fled on foot during a brief foot pursuit. Police say one of them pointed a loaded firearm at officers. Both suspects were arrested and 2 firearms were seized. The 2 men face a series of charges, including robbery with a firearm and unauthorized possession of a firearm. Any witnesses are asked to contact police. A 31-year-old from Mississauga who went missing after a canoe capsized on a lake in central Ontario yesterday has been found dead. Emergency crews were called shortly after 8 p.m. on Stewart Lake near Bracebridge for reports of a capsized canoe. 2 people were believed to be on board the canoe when it overturned about 40 feet from shore. 1 person was rescued by a passing boater, while the other went underwater and did not resurface. The body of the victim was located today. The investigation into the incident, it's ongoing. Well, here's a live look at the city. It looks a little overcast right there. We've had some clouds today, but really, it's been a beautiful day. Who am I kidding? It's been a lovely day today. And when we look at the satellite radar, you can see what's happening. Why it looks a little cloudy down there. You can see the clouds are coming in and some rain coming in behind it. But right now, no rain for us. As we look at our current speed of the wind and the direction, for Toronto, really, it's northerly, slightly to the west, and 17 kilometers an hour. And so not very windy. Kingston seems to be the windiest, but just by a couple more kilometers. Humidex is still a factor, everybody, all throughout southwestern Ontario, bringing the temperature into the 30s. As we look at the islands right now, feeling like 31, Pearson feeling like 30, and tonight, 25 degrees, that's with humidity, and you see the thunder showers there. Well, if you're planning to take the GO train this evening, schedule changes are in effect on the Lakeshore West Line. Metrolink says important construction work is being carried out at Exhibition Station to prepare for the future Ontario Line subway. Trains are only running once every half hour between Niagara Falls and Union Station. The trip normally departing Union at 7:22 p.m. will also leave 12 minutes earlier. The 12:16 a.m. train from Exhibition will leave 20 minutes later. On the subway, the TTC will be ending service early on part of Line 1 this week for planned track work. Tomorrow and Thursday, trains will stop running at 11:59 p.m. between St. George and Lawrence West stations. Shuttle buses and Wheel-Trans will operate. The same closures will also happen on Tuesday and Wednesday, but not until 1 a.m. to accommodate crowds seeing Usher and Chris Brown's concert at Rogers Stadium. Okay, staying on the tracks, vehicle testing is set to begin this week for the Hazel-McCallion LRT line. Transportation Minister Parvmeet Sarkaria says the trial will happen on Top Flight Drive, just off Hurontario Street near Highway 407 in Mississauga. The 18-kilometer line along Hurontario will connect Mississauga and Brampton. It was originally slated to open in 2024, but now it's expected to be completed in 2028. Billions of dollars in funding from Ottawa announced this week to try and tackle Toronto's housing crisis was applauded by many, but as CTV's Kamal Karamali reports, some argue that money is going into the wrong hands.
Welcome. This newly formed group gathering in Toronto made up of only tenants fighting for solutions
and we're going to be evicted
to the city's housing crisis. Their latest battle, standing against newly announced funding, loans to private developers to build more rental housing.
Very problematic because it's just a bailout for developers that led us to this housing crisis in the first place.
Government of Canada, City in Toronto.
On Wednesday, the Prime Minister and Toronto's mayor announced a new plan, $2.7 billion in funding that is over $300 million going towards affordable or rent-controlled homes on city-owned land. The rest could be loaned to private developers. $1.8 billion specifically will go towards building thousands of rental homes. Many of those won't be rent-controlled.
They should be rent-controlled. Rent control is a bare minimum that we need as tenants to be able to survive.
But Canada's national housing agency says the funding is going to encourage the construction of some much-needed rental housing in Toronto. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, responsible for the financing to private developers, tells CTV News these low-interest loans play a crucial role in filling Canada's housing supply shortage by providing home builders with the necessary low-cost financing to support faster construction of more rental supply across the country.
There's a lot of developers waiting to build, but they can't make the numbers work. So at least this gets more supply to the market, which is never going to be a bad thing.
Not a bad thing, because more supply means rents are likely to go down all around. But tenant advocacy groups believe it won't make the units affordable enough for those who need it the most.
This is our money. We should be the ones who call the shots, not the developers, because this is a crisis.
3, 2, 1.
With shovels set to hit the ground later this year. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
The Ontario Liberal Party is preparing to hold the first debate of its 2026 leadership race tomorrow. Former leader Bonnie Crombie resigned back in January, and she's running for her previous job as mayor of Mississauga. The Liberals will select their next leader in a November vote. Out of 5 candidates in the running, they are former federal industry minister Navdeep Bains and 2 current Liberal members of Parliament, provincial Parliament, Stephanie Bowman and Lee Fairclough. Also on the debate stage will be finance and tech entrepreneur Eric Lombardi and longtime public servant Dylan Mirando. The debate takes place at 7 p.m. tomorrow. A team of Canadian negotiators is heading to Washington tomorrow to keep trade talks going. The latest push comes as a deadline approaches for a new wave of tariffs threatened by the Trump administration. CTV's Michael Serapio reports.
It's a question now being asked. What concessions are Canadians willing to make?
I don't know what we could give that would ensure that we didn't have economic pain.
With trade talks entering another week, industry sources tell CTV News Ottawa is considering making concessions on U.S. cars and U.S. booze to avoid a new 50% tariff that would be applied on August 19.
I don't think we should be making any concessions.
I don't know. We've already done a lot.
There's going to have to be something.
This Sunday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre released an early morning letter addressed to the Prime Minister. It warns Mark Carney against giving any ground to the U.S. unless concessions lead to free trade access for Canadian lumber, steel, cars, and aluminum. In the letter stating, "Our message is clear. We want the win and the good deal you promised 15 months ago. Canadians deserve a government that has the backbone to fight for our workers, our families, and every inch of our sovereignty." But it's unclear if free trade is even possible. For the past year, U.S. officials have been very clear they are committed to tariffs, and that's led some to believe free trade, as Canadians have known it, is dead.
That's gone. I think what we're going to see now is some kind of broadly managed trade agreement where the 3 countries can put limits on how much they export.
For now focused on the current round of trade talks to avoid the immediate tariff threat. Michael Serapio, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, Quebec dairy farmers are looking for guarantees that supply management won't be used as a bargaining chip in trade talks with the U.S.
There is worry on the dairy farmer side. But at the same time, the Prime Minister came out yesterday and reassured us that supply management was not on the table, that he told the Americans that supply management was not going to be talked about and that he's not going to give any more concessions. So that gives us a certain little bit of certainty. But yeah, we want to stay vigilant and keep telling the government to fiercely defend supply management and dairy farmers in Canada and food sovereignty for our consumers.
Supply management is a system that controls the supply and prices of dairy products and helps ensure a more stable income for farmers in this country. U.S. President Donald Trump has been a staunch critic, saying it amounts to unfair protectionism that bars U.S. farmers from the Canadian market. Well, across Calgary this weekend, people are taking a moment to remember the young boy with autism who went missing for nearly 2 weeks before his remains were eventually found. As CTV's Kathy Lee tells us, his family's ask to honor him comes as calls for a new national alert system ramp up.
Walking in the park with the family dog, taking a short stroll with community members, or swinging in the playground with Grandpa. Across Calgary, people spent time with those they love while honoring a boy who touched their hearts.
We're just celebrating Parker.
I'm just really sorry for what happened to Parker.
We want to support Parker.
The support inspired by Parker Wells' family, encouraging Calgarians to remember him in the moments they share this weekend. This family visited one of the memorials dedicated to the 11-year-old.
I feel like very heartbroken.
His story hit especially close to home.
We have a son also, like, who is 11 years old, and he's autistic too. So we are like, feel the pain of the Parker as well.
Parker, who had autism, went missing last month. Hundreds of officers and thousands of Calgarians joined the search. Nearly 2 weeks later, his body was found in a 4-foot water pipe, part of a larger network of pipes and tunnels. Calgary mourned the loss in a public vigil at City Hall, where hundreds gathered to pay their respects. As the remembrance continues, so does the push for a public online petition to create a national indigo alert for missing neurodivergent people, now with more than 37,000 signatures. Organizer Jen Bull says the next step is to get an official petition.
MP Mike Lake from Leduc and Wetaskiwin, and he officially has said that we need a member of Parliament to bring this petition into House of Commons, and he's going to be that person.
As work continues to better protect vulnerable missing people, a community deeply moved by one boy.
In our whole life, I miss forever.
Will keep him in their thoughts, wherever their day takes them. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A state of emergency is now in effect across British Columbia as that province continues its fight against wildfires. One that swept through the Okanagan Valley Friday night forced tens of thousands of residents to flee.
As was described by officials when I was being briefed on Saturday morning, you could have put 1,000 people on that fire and it wouldn't have made a difference. Throughout that fire into Friday evening, we had to revert our resources quickly from fighting fires to actually evacuating individuals. And so 19 helicopters, we threw everything we could at the fire. We then reverted those helicopters to try to help and remove as many people as we could, given how quickly that fire was growing.
The Bald Range fire has grown to more than 100 square kilometers in size, and BC RCMP have said they're working to confirm a possible fatality in a community west of Summerland. More than 20,000 people in Summerland and nearby Peachland evacuated. Speaking with CTV News this afternoon, the BC Wildfire Service said conditions didn't ease as much as expected overnight.
We didn't see great overnight recoveries, which is usually lower temperatures and higher relative humidity and some moisture content in the air that would help decrease fire activity. And instead, what we saw was a little bit more active burning through that overnight period. And then today, what we're kind of looking at is a pretty smoked-in valley again for a second time. But that is helpful because it means the sun is prevented from drying out the fuels further on the ground. And so it's giving crews that are working on the ground, both wildfire staff, all of the fire departments that are supporting response, and some of the utility services like Summerland Power, BC Hydro, Fortis, to get in there, RCMP, search and rescue, and do all of the work that they need to do to clear areas and make them safe for responders to go into and extinguish any hot spots and really do a lot of good work in and around those community areas.
Meanwhile, there are at least 100 active fires across the province, with around half of them considered out of control. And Federal Emergency Management Minister Eleanor Olszewski says in a social media post that she has approved a request for federal assistance from British Columbia to provide shelter and accommodations for people who've been forced to leave their homes due to wildfires across the province. The minister goes on to say that she has tasked federal officials led by the Government Operations Centre at Public Safety Canada to work with the province to ensure support reaches those who need it most. The number of wildfires burning in northern Ontario stands at more than 150, although no new blazes were confirmed in the northeast or northwest regions yesterday. The Ministry of Natural Resources website today notes 2 new fires in the Sudbury district and 1 in the Nipigon district, all out of control. Overseas now, Iran's foreign ministry says the country is not currently engaged in any meaningful dialogue with the United States to bring their war to an end. Tehran says it won't return to the negotiating table as long as Washington continues to breach an interim deal reached in June. Both sides have accused each other of violating understandings when it comes to access to the Strait of Hormuz. The Islamic regime on Saturday laid out new conditions, including that the U.S. stop aggression against Iran and its allies, lift the blockade and sanctions, compensate Iran for war damage, and unfreeze Iranian assets.
These demands they've now raised last night show that they are emboldened, that they feel confident about their position in the world. And at the same time, they are flexing their muscles by using their proxies. So we know that the Houthis just this morning attacked the Saudi refinery on the Red Sea. Yesterday, Iran attacked the UAE ship. But they've also, they being Tehran, have tried to expand this conflict. There was a long shot taken at an Egyptian port on the Mediterranean Sea to show the range of their weapons. And they've gone so far as to threaten U.S. ally, NATO ally Bulgaria about supporting U.S. operations from there. So they're expanding the conflict in many ways.
Iran's foreign minister said a separate agreement with Oman over the Strait of Hormuz is in its final stages, but it wouldn't mean the strategic waterway is reopening. He also said exchanges with the U.S. are only happening via intermediaries. Israel is rejecting U.S. President Donald Trump's 15-point plan for Gaza, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Israel won't withdraw until Hamas fully disarms. Last month, Trump said there was a breakthrough in his plan to end the war. It would see the militant group give up heavy weapons if Israel agreed to withdraw from the parts of Gaza it still controls in the wake of last October's ceasefire. Both sides say the other has violated the earlier deal repeatedly, and they won't budge until the other one does. Hamas called on mediators to step in. No word on the White House's reaction as of yet. Russia and Ukraine traded deadly attacks overnight. In Ukraine, several regions were struck by Russian drones, including the city of Odessa, injuring at least 8 people. Several residential buildings were damaged, igniting fires across the historic city. At daylight, crews could be seen cleaning up debris and helping the wounded. At least 3 people reported killed and dozens injured in strikes on cities further east. And this was a scene at daybreak in the Russian city of Belgorod. It's located about 40 kilometers north of the Ukrainian border, and officials there say at least 5 are dead and 25 hurt after Ukrainian drone attacks overnight. Well, divers off the coast of Sicily have discovered a 2,100-year-old Roman shipwreck. Divers from the Cultural Heritage Protection Arm of a local police service say they made the discovery after a tip from some fishermen. The wreck is thought to be dated between the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE, and it was found 46 meters below the surface. Officials say it was covered in well-preserved containers, often used to transport wine. Italy's culture minister says it was one of the most important underwater archaeological discoveries in recent years. I wonder how the wine tastes. Out of the gallery and onto the demo track. The Canadian War Museum in Ottawa is holding a special exhibit this weekend. It lets spectators see tanks and trucks that have helped support Canada's military efforts throughout history. CTV's Kimberly Johnson reports.
From the Second World War to modern day, the War Machines Weekend at the Canadian War Museum aims to bring history to the forefront. 3-year-old Parker Reithman loves the War Museum.
Family history and military, so it's a big part of Canadian history. We love it. And we couldn't miss War Machines, having them actually drive around.
The Reithman family has often come here to see the military vehicles on display in the tank room. But this weekend, some are being taken outside to drive around, showing viewers how they move and operate.
With him going to school this year, I'm sure he'll be talking to all his classmates about it.
Museum officials say it's about helping people connect with history from a different perspective.
I think I was a bit stunned just standing still in the gallery. You don't really get a sense of just how fast they can go.
Arian Bajpay says he's a history buff, and seeing them in action gives him something to think about.
Even though I love looking at these military history and military vehicles, it is important to see that, you know, maybe we should be spending our money elsewhere on peace and diplomacy and learning a bit from history, but I won't lie, it's still very cool to see them here.
It also includes this C-15AA armored ambulance truck. Museum officials say there were only 6 produced during the Second World War, and this could be the last one left.
Having something that comes right up to present day allows us to speak to that whole timeline of Canadian military history and show the progression of vehicles.
The War Museum is a place that tells stories about people. Like, every object here represents a story. They're not just artifacts in a building. And I think that when you get to see the vehicles in motion, it gives you that sense of history coming alive.
Inside the museum, there are private collections on display and active members who are able to answer questions. The event runs through Sunday.
Really cool, honestly.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
We head back outside as the sun is close to setting. We still have a couple hours before it sets, almost a couple of hours, and look quite lovely for a day on the lake. More coming up after the break, folks. So much more. Stay with us. I will untwist my tongue.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
More than 600 motorcyclists revved through York Region today in support of a good cause. The 18th annual Ride for SickKids motored through the streets today, beginning at 11 a.m. at North Maple Regional Park in Vaughan. The motorcyclists will travel a 150-kilometer route around the region and back to the park. We spoke to an organizer and participants on why they get involved.
We have a lady that came and says, my husband passed away. He used to do your ride. He goes, I come every year and I pay for his ticket and mine, and he's here with us. So these stories that come to us, and people that say, oh, my daughter's alive because you're, but then we also have sad stories, unfortunately. And, you know, and it's for those, we want to lessen that. So, you know, if we could do something like this and get more success, then I'll do it. I'll keep on doing it. I work with children with special needs. I have 3 healthy children, which I'm very blessed, but my students aren't that lucky. And so I do it for them and all the other families. I just feel that if we can give back in any way, and, you know, we're just a little piece, but whatever we can do in SickKids is amazing, so I couldn't think of a better place.
Since 2009, the ride has raised $1.8 million for the SickKids Foundation. A downtown Toronto park went to the dogs today. Furry, 4-legged friends were let out in Roundhouse Park today for the 3rd annual Doggyfest, the free event featuring an agility zone and a ball pit perfect for the energetic crowd. There was also pet photography, live entertainment, and local vendors.
I think that Toronto is very dog-centric. A lot of people are, this is their kids, and especially downtown. And so I think having dogs out in the city, especially dogs in this beautiful urban space, allows them to socialize, allows for people to socialize as well and talk about issues and other fun things related to dogs.
It's just so nice to see everyone's dogs. It's like the biggest dog event in Toronto, I think. I love seeing him interact with everyone. You know, he's a single dog at home, so we don't have any more. So I like to see him make friends like here and whatnot.
I love it. It's really great, and it's so fun to see all the dogs out here having the best time. It's really good to have events that are dog friendly as well.
This is Curly. He's 3. He's a Shih Tzu, and he's really social. Loves to meet everybody, loves to say hi to everybody, loves everybody. Like, he thinks he's bigger than he is. We take him to day camp at PetSmart, and he plays with the big dogs. He thinks he's one of them.
The event wrapped up at 4 and was organized by the Downtown West BIA. Well, you can see it was a beautiful day for the dogs to be out. You know, I wanted to say who let the dogs out, but I think I'm dating myself when I say something like that. And so, oh, that was the banner. I didn't actually see that. I thought I was being pretty smart by saying that. So taking a look outside, it's a little overcast, but the sun's still shining, and the humidity's still there, so really nothing to complain about, folks. It was a lovely Sunday for people to get out and do so many things. Okay, let's go to the boards right now. You can see it's 30 degrees in Toronto. That is thanks in part to the humidity, pretty much the same all through southwestern Ontario. Looking at this evening, it's going to go down to 23 degrees at 11. You see it's partly cloudy, a few clouds over the course of the evening. When we look at our lows for tonight, we're above normal for this evening. It's going to feel like 20 degrees. You can see some rain, some thunder showers coming in overnight. Looking at tomorrow morning, so we have rain overnight into the early morning hours. By 7 o'clock, still have some rain, but hopefully by 9 it'll have moved out and it'll feel like 22 degrees. But the humidity is going to be present all throughout the early morning. Everybody, looking at tomorrow's highs, the humidex continues to be with us, and again, chance of some thunderstorms, but it's going to feel like 32 with the humidity, 35 in Niagara Falls, Hamilton, and London. Looking at our tomorrow at a glance, yeah, it's going to feel like 32, 40% of showers primarily in the morning, and thunderstorms. The wind is from the south, shifting southwest 10 kilometers an hour. Sunrise at 6:16 and sunset 8:28. Take a look at the next 7 days, everybody. We've got some showers to Monday, as we said. Tuesday's looking like right now the best day of the week, but of course things could change. Showers on Wednesday and Thursday, but not a complete washout. Friday looking good. Saturday, Sunday. Saturday's looking good with some clouds, and then rain returns on Sunday. Okay, everybody, let's head to the tennis courts where round of 16 matches are underway today at the National Bank Open. The women's draw taking place in our city at Sobeys Stadium, and the lone Canadian remaining in the field, Leylah Fernandez, is set to hit the court tonight against four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka. I don't know who to cheer for in this one. Joining us now for a preview of tonight's matches is TSN's Mark Masters. Mark, Leylah is coming off a big straight sets win in her last match, and she's got another tough opponent in front of her tonight. Can you set this up for us? Because everybody pretty much knows, a lot of people know Naomi Osaka, a lot of people know Leylah Fernandez, and this is right here in Toronto. What do you say?
Well, the fact that we're here in Toronto, I know talking to Leylah Annie Fernandez's father and Coach Jorge yesterday, they're really hoping that the atmosphere here tonight, the home crowd is going to help Fernandez kind of overcome Osaka's power and really get to her on center court here tonight. There's already a buzz in the air for this night's session. So the fact we're in Toronto, that could be something that gives Fernandez an edge here tonight. They've played twice previously, both very close matches. Last year, Osaka won in 3, and then, of course, in 2021, Fernandez upset Osaka at the U.S. Open when Osaka was the defending champion, and that was en route to Fernandez making the final in New York. So she has some positive memories against Osaka on the court.
So I know when Leylah, in earlier matches, she had said that the crowd was so important, having that support. What do you expect the atmosphere to be like with Leylah playing in front of this Canadian crowd? If it was good before, it's obviously got to be better tonight.
It's a weekend evening. You know, Osaka Fernandez, this is showtime. It's a blockbuster. I expect the fans to be electric. I expect them to be into it. Obviously, we know who's coming up after the Fernandez match tonight. It's Alex Ayala, who's a big fan favorite. A lot of Filipino fans on the grounds already. Of course, the Fernandez family, her mother has roots in the Philippines, so there's a connection there. I expect it to be an incredible atmosphere. Leylah Annie Fernandez needed this. It has not been a great season for her, but she seems reinvigorated by the home fans here, and it feels like something special may be happening.
And Alexandra Ayala, who is she, for those who perhaps have not heard of her? Tell us more about her.
She is the story in tennis right now. 21 years old, last event in Washington, she won the title. She is the first player from the Philippines to win a title on the WTA Tour. She beat Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon to make the round of 16 there, has been hailed as a conquering hero in her homeland. And of course, there's a huge Filipino community here, and they have been coming out in droves to support her. The tournament sold out her opening match in 30 minutes after they confirmed she was going to play in that session. They've added Filipino dishes in the food court here behind me here to pay tribute to all the fans that are coming out. She is the story, the buzz in tennis right now. I've been at both her matches here. They have been incredible atmospheres. The fans have been insane, and I expect it to be very much the same here tonight.
Okay, Mark, thanks for setting this up for us. Have a good time watching it. I know you're working, but I'm sure you're going to enjoy the matches yourself.
I will for sure.
Thanks, Mark. Well, the Blue Jays were going for the series sweep against the Philadelphia Phillies this afternoon.
Here's 0-1. on the ground, through, and the Phillies win the game.
Boo. Derek Hill driving in the winning run for Philadelphia in the 12th inning. 12th inning, folks, after the Jays rallied in the 8th inning with 3 runs to force extra innings. Now, the Phillies taking the game 7-6. The Blue Jays will now return home, opening a 4-game set with the Boston Red Sox tomorrow. On the pitch, Toronto FC looking for their 4th straight win against the visiting first place Ottawa Rapid FC.
Here's Zadorsky into the corner, and AFC Toronto has the lead. Zadorsky steps up for her first career NSL goal.
Obviously, that's AFC Toronto, folks, already tied at 1. Toronto took the lead on a penalty kick in the 78th minute, but Ottawa tied it up in stoppage time, the match ending in a 2-2 draw. It was a chippy back-and-forth affair. A player on each side handed a red card after an incident in the 62nd minute, putting both teams down to 10 players. Toronto is back in action next Sunday, hosting the Montreal Roses at BMO Field. The final of the Hlinka Gretzky Cup under-18 hockey tournament between Canada and the U.S. turned into a blowout in Edmonton last night.
Oh, he's got Snyder's Snyder's a right shot. Dupont plays it back around. Shoot, scores!
Okay, the Canadians outshot the American team 45-17, dominating the game on their way to an 8-1 win. This was a redemption win for the Canadians after falling to the Americans in a shootout in the semifinals in last year's tournament, on their way to a bronze medal. We head back outside, folks, for a look at City Hall. Pretty quiet tonight. Nathan Phillips Square has been hopping over the weekend, but quiet right now. We'll have more coming up after the break. Canadians are still being asked to roll up their sleeves and donate blood after summer slowdown left the national supply under strain. Canadian Blood Services says more people have been coming in to donate since it first flagged a nearly 20% drop in the blood supply in July, with communities across the country rallying to help. In a statement to CTV News on August 5th, the spokesperson said weekly appointments were back in the optimal range of about 18,000 and inventory levels had improved. Whitney Houston would have turned 63 years old today, and she's being honored with a new Barbie doll. Houston had several hits. She had many hits, including I Would Dance With Somebody. And it's her look in that video that inspired the outfit for the doll. It was unveiled at a charity event last night. Mattel says it worked with the music icon's family and estate to perfect the design, which comes complete with a microphone and stand. Well, Rush may be selling out Scotiabank Arena with 4 concerts this week, but a band of talented young musicians is also turning heads for their tribute to the Toronto-based band. This is Twisted Fate and their homage to Rush. The spirit of radio on full display. The 4 bandmates are between 10 and 14 years old, but you'd never know it by listening to them.
In the future, you know, we really just want to keep on playing music. It's what all of us love. It's our passion. You know, we do it every day, and yeah, we're gonna try writing some originals eventually. You know, get some songs out there, and we really hope we can just stick to music and do it, you know, as a career.
As for Rush, their second concert in the city goes tonight at 7:30. While the box office is no stopping the latest Spider-Man movie at the weekend box office.
But you're in danger. You just have to trust me.
Fine. Okay, you sitting down. Spider-Man Brand New Day brought in another $145 million US. That was enough to score the 3rd best second weekend ever at North American box office. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey earned another $31.5 million and crossed the $1 billion mark worldwide. Newcomer rom-com One Night Only landed 3rd with $5.7 million in ticket sales. Jamaica celebrated its 64th Independence Day last week, months after a hurricane devastated the island. But there are reasons to celebrate, as hundreds did just that last week right here in our city. evening at Casa Loma with a reggae beat as Tourism Jamaica hosts a night dedicated to the music of the legendary Bob Marley. Rapper and record executive Cardinal Official has worked with members of the Marley family.
For us in the Caribbean, and especially us in Jamaica, it's like being able to work with the royal family. But what's good about the royal family is that the Marleys are not colonizers. They are people that are steady trying to give back to the afflicted, you know what I'm saying? They take the energy and the spirit of their grandfather, of their father, and they really try and put Bob into the center of everything that they do.
Last October, Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, devastated the island. And the evening was also an opportunity to thank Canadians who came to Jamaica's aid. The Honorable Edmund Bartlett is Jamaica's Minister of Tourism.
The number of volunteers from Canada who came, the shiploads of supplies that came, and the various charitable enterprises that responded, as well as the number of fundraising efforts that brought significant resources into Jamaica. But perhaps the most enduring of that is the tourism flows from Canada. And that is putting Jamaica now in a strong position for an economic recovery.
10 months later, Bartlett says Jamaica has rebounded and ready for the upcoming Canadian winter season. Tourism is a big part of that recovery. This fall and winter, airlines will offer 400,000 seats, 10% more than last year, to escape the cold.
The big word for us is resilience. And the essence of that is reflected in the ability of the Jamaicans to bounce forward, not back, after adversities. And so from Melissa has emerged a new spirit, a spirit that is embodied in a nice Jamaican word that we call talawa, meaning to say that we are indomitable and we're not fazed by adversities.
And while Melissa will never be forgotten, Cardi says it's the knowledge that hurricanes are a fact of life, that work is being done to make future shelters hurricane-proof.
Some people don't understand that it's hurricane season.
It may still be summer, but in less than a month, most Canadian kids will be headed back to the classroom. Families are now feeling the pressure and financial stress to purchase those must-have items. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth has tips on how to make back-to-school shopping go smoothly.
It's only early August, but the rush is already on to buy school supplies.
We would have liked the list for when all of the supplies were on sale.
According to the Retail Council of Canada, back-to-school shopping habits have changed in recent years.
Only 19% of the people we talked to said they'll finish it in one trip. Most anticipate 2 or 3 shopping trips, and that reflects the need to compare prices, visit different retailers.
Many parents now buy school supplies in June.
Shopping stretches across the entire summer season, with younger families starting earlier.
Marie Robertson's daughter starts school in September, making this her first go-around as a school supply shopper.
It's something that we plan for. We have to fit it into the budget.
When she finally gets her list from the school for what she needs to buy, Robertson plans to take a slow, steady approach.
Start working on those, buy things in little chunks so that's not all one big price at once.
Not only has the time frame for school supply shopping started earlier, but some of these supplies are getting more expensive, putting pressure on many families. The back-to-school retail market in Canada generates $4.5 billion each year. With prices climbing, retail analyst Bruce Winder urges parents to adopt strategies to save money.
Waiting for sales, starting early to get the sales, thrifting more, trying to make items last maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years, so not replacing items as often.
With so many choices and stores to choose from, Winder says parents should make a budget and a list.
Almost do an inventory of what you have now and what you need and stick to that.
Winder says the online market for school supplies is also growing, providing parents with choices and deals as the school year inches closer. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Hey everybody, quick look at the next 7 days. It's going to be up and down. We're going to have some rain. We're going to have some sun. But hey everybody, I have to say goodbye to our producer. If I've been a little discombobulated today, it's because Dustin Cook, the man who produces the show for the last couple of years, he is leaving me and he's going to CBC. Anyway, good luck to you, Dustin. We will miss you. Dustin is a fellow who loves Broadway musicals, loves to sing. He's in a choir, and I've enjoyed working with you, Dustin. So I'm going to try not to cry as I say my goodbyes. I know you've got a couple more days here at work, but I won't be anchoring, so it's my chance to say goodbye to you. I wish you all the best. I love you, and you will be missed. Well, be sure to join us tonight, 11 CTV National News, followed by our next local newscast, 11:30. In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca. For all of us here at CTV News, including you, Dusty, have a good night, and thanks for watching. See you at 11:30.